Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Shad.
This week we're covering 1985's Fright Night.
What would you do if you accidentally discovered the house next door was occupied by something not human? Something horrifying. Something unspeakably evil. No one believes you.
Mom, I didn't have a nightmare.
Not your mom.
They did kill a girl over there.
Not your girlfriend.
Charlie, is this some sort of a trick to get me back?
Not even the police.
Look, I know it's crazy. I know that, but look, Lieutenant!
It knows that you know. You'll do anything to protect yourself, but it will do anything to protect its secret. Fright Night. If you love being scared, this could be the night of your life.
Welcome to Fright Night. For real.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year.
Yeah, we went to cover it sooner, but things happened, so we're sneaking it in before the end of the year.
Well, you know, better late than never. It's still 2025.
Yep.
So here we go. It originally did come out on August 2nd, 1985. But like you said, you know, and also I feel like even though this is not set in winter, it has like winter feels for me. I don't know. You know, it's because when you're outside in the movie, it doesn't feel real because you know they're on set. Like it looks like a set. Like it's 100%, right? It's like that's not a real
I think
place.
we're all much on the set on that one, which is fine. They really didn't have to go anywhere except they went to the high school, the TV studio, and all that kind of stuff. That's fine to be on a set.
Yeah, there's a lot of indoor. They're in a diner. They're at the high school. They're in an alley. They're at the club.
Yeah,
and they're at the house.
They're very rarely just out roaming around with natural sky in the background, you know.
Yeah. Well, the film stars William Ragsdale and Amanda Burse and Chris Sarandon and Stephen Jeffries, and you gotta see the best for last, Roddy McDowall.
Yeah, that's a guy, man. He has been in everything. He was one of those people, like every TV show in the 70s, at some point Roddy McDowall showed up in it. Up through the early 80s, he was in every TV show. He'd show up in Love Boat, the Lucy Show. He'd be in, you know, Buck Rogers. He was in the Planet of the Apes TV show that they did. Like, he was in every episode of that, playing a different ape, of course, than the one he played in almost all the Planet of the Apes movies.
Well, can you believe that William Ragsdale may or may not have gotten this movie because of, obviously, a lot of people auditioned. And one of those individuals was Charlie Sheen, and Tom Holland was like, no one's gonna believe this pretty boy is the boy next door. So we cannot get him. And then either later on that year or the next year, Charlie Sheen was in the movie called The Boys Next Door.
That movie is nuts, by the way.
Yeah, well, it has Charlie Sheen in it, so yeah, I can't even imagine.
That movie has a scene in it where a guy gets in a pool and pees. And the guy says, I'll know if you pee in the pool because my dad put a special chemical in it that turns the water purple when you do. And then you see the purple cloud come away from the guy. And I saw an interview with a pool like installer, and he said everyone wants that damn chemical and it doesn't exist. It was just made up for that movie.
Wow.
But everyone wants me to put that chemical in their pool that turns the water purple when someone pees. But it doesn't exist, folks. It just doesn't exist. He was like on the news yelling about it.
It's a lot of people have seen that movie. Yeah. William Rysel actually auditioned for The Mask, so imagine, like, I can't even imagine him not being in this role, but obviously he lost to Eric Stoltz. And Amanda Burst later on went on to do Married with Children, and obviously, you know, Chris Sarandon, like, what did he do? He's the voice of Jack Skellington. He was in Child's Play 3 years later. Even though he didn't want to do this movie. He almost didn't do this movie because he did not want to be in a horror movie.
Because he had been in a previous horror movie directed by Michael Winner, The Sentinel. And he had such a bad experience in that he didn't want to do it again. But he bonded with Tom Holland because Tom Holland had written a movie called Scream for Help that Michael Winner directed. And he butchered it so badly, according to Tom Holland, that he swore he would only direct his own scripts after that.
Yeah.
And the two of them bonded apparently about how much they hate Michael Winner. So that's how they got him in the movie.
Tom Holland also allowed him to do some tweaks to the character. So there are some things about this character that people love that was actually Chris Sarandon's idea. One of them is the side story about Amanda Burst's Amy's character resembling the portrait. So there's a backstory there. And the other thing was, which is so crazy, about him eating fruit. Because he somehow thought, maybe Chris Sarandon thought that the vampire was related to a fruit bat. A vampire fruit bat, right? So, which is really funny. Which I love. That's like probably one of my favorite characteristics. And then you see when he's constantly eating.
When you see he takes the bites, they're huge too.
Yeah, they're it's like the whole apple.
Yeah, there's just like the core left of the apple when he takes the bite of it. So I love that kind of little twist that you hadn't seen. You see, what people don't realize about this movie now is that when this came out, this was a big surprise to the vampire genre. Because most of the movies until then had just been Dracula. Mm-hmm. Like one version or another of Dracula coming around. I think The Hunger had been out with David Bowie, but that's one didn't catch on quite as much. And this one was the one, where it's like the vampire is more modern. He's living in, he's dressing modern. He's living in a house in the suburbs.
Yeah.
He's doing all this. So this was a lot of like new ideas for people at the time.
And it was kind of comedic and also kind of sexy. And, even though the Hammer films have their moments, but not like this.
And this was also the same thing like that year. This was the same year Monster Squad came out. And this was one of the movies to be like, your nerd knowledge will save you. Because at the time, being a nerd was Monster Squad 85 or was it?
No, go ahead. Being a nerd was...
Oh, no, Monster Squad was later. I'm sorry. So this one came out before, but then this was one of the first ones to be like, being a nerd will save you. Because until then, everybody looked at like the fans of Star Trek and horror movies as they were kind of outcasts and weirdos.
Yeah.
So this was the one where it said, you have that knowledge about vampires from watching all these movies. That shit's going to come in handy someday. Mm-hmm. And you're going to know how to kill the vampire and do all the things against it. You
have your vampire movies a little mixed up. The Monster Squad would come out in the same year because I know a lot of people are going to be like, Shad's wrong because the Lost Boys. Now, the Lost Boys came out in 1987, the same year as the Monster Squad.
Yeah, I got it mixed up.
Well, that's fine. But yeah, you're right about all those things. It's one of those. And then we have... The other thing that people could relate to at the time was that they were horror hosts. Some of the cities in the country had their own individual horror hosts, but then we had the most famous one, which was Elvira. So
you had like Elvira for national. People knew like Elvira. People knew Svengoolie. People on the USA had that Commander USA guy. He didn't just host horror movies, but he hosted some other stuff too. And then locally, where I grew up, there was Cremation Mortem. She hosted the Creature Feature on Saturdays, and it was always some kind of monster movie. I saw Shockwaves and some other stuff on that. And then here in Florida, they had that Dr. Pallbearer that ran the horror movies. So throughout the 80s, the horror host was everywhere. There was one that even hosted horror movies on what used to be the Nashville Network. He hosted horror movies late on Saturday night. Sir Cecil Creep.
Wow.
He was like a hunchback that had a cape like Dracula and came out of a coffin, but he was a hunchback, so it didn't really make a lot of sense. But he hosted horror movies, so those people were everywhere in the 80s. If you were a local station, you had a horror host.
Now, I have to say that growing up with this movie, it's one of those, I never forgot about it. As soon as, I was even like able with my own money to buy it. It's probably like one of the first DVDs that I purchased. I own the VHS. I own the record. Do I have the novel?
Yes, you do.
I have the novel. So it is one of my favorite movies, along with obviously the rest of the world who have very fond memories of this film. There's just so many parts that I love about it, but let's just throw some, in case you haven't seen the film, or the terrible thing that happened in 2011 that we will not speak of, the remake.
And then I don't understand when they made a sequel to the remake that was a remake of the remake.
Yeah.
Which I don't even understand that at all.
Maybe they thought it wasn't a remake. Maybe they thought that it wasn't.
They were trying to do an Evil Dead 2 kind of thing, but it just didn't work out.
So this is basically what Tom Holland would call the boy who cried vampire. That's literally that just summarizes the whole film.
Or, as I've always told people, it's Rear Window with a vampire.
Rear Window with a vampire. Now, Charlie Brewster, who is the character played by William Ragsdale, we just saw it recently, the movie. And I feel like probably the older I've gotten, the more I want to slap him, because he just won't quit. He's just so, he's going to get this guy. I don't know what he thought. I don't understand why he was so driven to, he's a vampire, dude. Once you find out that the guy's a vampire, it's one thing he may be a serial murderer, but then he's a vampire. You don't go, and you live across the street from him. You see into the man's house.
Yeah,
you're right there, across the way. Why are you so gung-ho you're gonna freaking take this guy down? Who are you, lanky ass kid? You're just a teenager. I don't understand.
You thought you were gonna go fight this, however old to say 400-year-old vampire.
Yeah.
No, that's not a good idea.
So you have a teenager with a single mom who she works all the time. And
there were no dual parent families in the 80s.
Yeah, there were no. She was just
doing
doing
always a single mom or a single dad.
Yeah, again on Lost Boys, a single mom. And you have her, that's what she's doing. And she has a son, and next door, a creepy ass house gets sold, and you have two gentlemen that move in. And William Ragsdale, Charlie Brewster, witnesses a murder and a woman being murdered. And he reports it. He goes and he's he's a good citizen. He's like,
well, he doesn't actually see her get murdered is the thing that they point out.
I'm sorry.
He hears a scream the one night, and then he sees on the news that the woman got murdered.
Okay,
and then the next night he sees the other woman, he's making out with her in the house, and he sees his giant vampire hand.
Yes. Okay. No. Okay. Let me go back. I'm so sorry. You're correct. He doesn't see her get murdered. Okay, but
he just assumes that the guy.
No, there's no assumption. This is he sees a beautiful woman enter the house. Okay, we later find out that she was a lady of the night and not a vampire. She was a prostitute. She, or I should say, let me take that back. She was an escort because she was dressed very nicely. She looked great. He didn't just pick her up from the side of the street. I'm sure, which I'm like, Jerry, why are you paying for these things? But okay. He sees that he's whatever, and then she screams, and then the next day they say in the news that her body was mangled and all messed up, and she's dead. The last time we saw the woman alive, she was about to have sex with this dude. So, and then the next night there's another body, there's another woman that comes in, and then moments later you see literally a body. Okay, it's huge, it's not in a casket, it's a huge wrapped up body where a purse just falls out, because that was the other thing. And it's like, what do we think? Of course that person got murdered, so fine, he didn't directly see their murder.
That's one of the points the cops point to him.
Yes,
did you actually see it? And he's like, well, no,
he didn't actually see it, but I mean, come on, there's the clues though add up.
He did it.
He did it. We obviously know he did it. So that's the whole thing is him trying to prove that, one, that he's being, he's murdering people, and then two, that he's a vampire, because then that's his second thing. Like, of course you can't go to the cops and say like, oh yeah, my next door neighbor's a vampire and he's like killing women.
Yeah, even though he does actually say that at some point.
Yeah, he does. He's so I don't
gung-ho to get this done that he doesn't stop to think how that's going to sound when he tells a police detective, there's a vampire living next door to me. They're like, no, there's not.
Now, of course,
there's another crazy kid from the suburbs who needs to spend the night in jail to be taught a lesson.
It's an 80s film, so you're going to have the guy next door. He's going to have a wacky friend. There's always going to be a wacky friend. And Evil Ed. Evil Ed is his wacky friend. And you have Amanda Burse as his girlfriend, who plays the character of Amy. And, that's the other thing that I thought was there was something amiss there, because the beginning of the movie, he's trying so hard to get laid. He's making out with his girlfriend.
But as soon as he sees something going on next door, he forgets all about her.
All about it. He has not been after how long. She even says how long they've been dating. They've been dating for a while.
Yeah.
And he even gets mad at some point. Like, oh, how long
am I going to have to wait? You're not giving it up. Come on.
Yeah. Which, obviously, no. But, and no, he gets so distracted. He doesn't even see the chick leave. Like, she just leaves because she's so done with him. And, that actually causes a lot of... I would have never, gone back to the guy. I would have never gone back to speaking with him. But I guess when you do care for someone and someone's like, oh, yeah, I see this guy, murdering chicks and he's a vampire, you're like, oh, my friend, I got to get help for him.
Yeah, I got to do something about this because this is not going to end well for him.
Do you have the special effects are great.
Yeah,
they still hold up.
Yeah, they do a great job with all the stuff on this, especially the various, the vampire makeup and all that. This is also the first one where the vampires had more than just regular little fangs.
Yeah.
He's got the full, mouth of crazy teeth in here. And, they've also got the scene where he's, flying around. I love when the vampire movies, where they don't actually show him flying. They just, show, the POV of flying over, and then he just comes walking out of the shadow.
The sound, the shadow. There's a lot of cool things that they did, which what's happening, but you don't actually have to
you have to see it. Yeah. And
suggestive.
There's a lot of the great effects in there. There's a really gnarly one when his friend gets... Who they really explain what his friend is. Is his friend a ghoul?
He's a ghoul.
When he
what
dies,
the hell that means, we don't know.
Yeah, when his friend dies, he melts in a very spectacular fashion.
Fuck, that's amazing.
Which apparently was very toxic on the set. They used a lot of shit that they shouldn't have to melt him and melt that body, and it was not good for anyone. So yeah, there's some crazy stories that happened on the set of this where people's shoes got melted and they were using acid to do things that they shouldn't be doing. And it's oh no. But yeah, so the effects on this still hold up today. And the thing that I've always loved about this movie is, like a lot of people, I've always had the dream that I would host horror movies on a TV show like that. So this movie, for the guy to actually, one, he's doing the horror host show for a living, and then two, he actually gets to go out and hunt vampires.
Yeah.
So it's you actually get to do the thing that you've been in movies of and all that.
Yeah. Oh, also he's an actor of his own movies.
Yeah, Peter Vincent. He's done all these terrible vampire movies in the past,
and it's all the same character, and it's just terrible.
Yeah, it looks bad, but you've all seen those movies, and you loved them as a kid. You were like, because you thought they were awesome. But now, as you get older, you watch them and like, this movie's not that great. But Roddy McDowall plays him like he was the serious actor.
He's deadpan.
Who really wanted to succeed, but all he got was these movies. So he showed up and gave 100% on it and just kept hoping that each one was going to lead to like a dramatic part where he was going to be in a normal movie, and it just never happened for him. And he ended up as a horror host as, something he didn't want, but that's what he got stuck with.
Now, what I'm going to say is going to sound ridiculous, okay? But when we go to Roddy McDowall's / Peter Vincent's house, right?
Yeah.
And we go to his apartment, and we see how he's dressed. We see his belongings. To me, I'm like, this is what Roddy McDowall's house really looks like. Like, to me, he's walking around with, like, lavish clothes. The smoking jacket, yeah. He has, like, the jewelry. He has, like, worldly possessions, from his travels. He has a lot of stories.
Well, one of the things in the background in his apartment is the life mask of Roddy McDowall that they made to make his ape makeup in Planet of the Apes. So that's just sitting around in there. And that was actually Roddy McDowall's. So they probably did bring a lot of his souvenirs and just put them in the background to just be little Easter eggs for people. They're like, hey, he's been in all these movies, remember? But yeah, I love his apartment too, because it's a small apartment. It looks cozy.
It's modest. It's like, okay, that's exactly what you would be paying for. Like, would you be able to afford with his
horror host salary? Yeah. It's a cozy little apartment, but it looks nice. He's got all of his stuff like displayed that that he's proud of from being in these movies, and it just looks like a cool place to be.
Yeah, I'm like, I love the set design of that.
Yeah.
Actually, it's probably the only thing in the whole movie that has the most character for the place being the place, because the house is just a vacant house. They just moved in. Chris Sarandon.
Yeah, his house.
His house.
Jerry Dandridge. Sorry, I couldn't think of his name for a second there.
Jerry's house.
Jerry's house is pretty. There's not like they're putting some stuff up, but they still really haven't moved into it yet.
Yeah,
it's just been in the process. Charlie interrupted them while they were trying to move in. And Charlie's house is just your average suburban house, which it's hilarious to me that, like, back at the time, the single mom could afford this 2-story, multi-bedroom, awesome-looking house that would probably cost you $500,000 today.
Yep.
And back then, that house was probably $48,000.
Yeah, $500,000 in, like, the worst part of town.
Yeah. And back then, it was $48,000 in a decent neighborhood, but just had one kind of shitty house next to it. That was what brought the property value down.
That was the Jerry Dandridge house.
Yeah, and that was it. And he was going to fix that shit up too. They just killed him before he got a chance.
Yeah, we don't know what he was going to do. I want to know why was he moving into the suburban neighborhood? What was Jerry Dandridge doing? Did he have a job? What was his plans? He had his manservant with him.
In the books, the vampires are always antique dealers because they have tons of antiques they've collected over the years.
He did have a lot of crates in the basement. Obviously, his coffin was down there. Obviously, like you do. The room where he later on goes and turns Amy into, that room there was a fireplace in there and a rug. It was nice. It was that looked a little cozy.
Well, he made his sex room right off the bat. That was the first thing he did.
He was like, I'm going to bring women back here. I'm going to have a sex room. Also, I'm going to tell you this. I don't care how gorgeous Chris Sarandon looked with his fucking sweaters, okay? And his fucking apples and his fucking teeth. I'm not coming into that house. As soon as he opens the door and I see, like, the cobwebs and, like, there's no furniture, that's like, alert, run the fuck away. Okay, he must have Svengali'd her or some shit or those women, because there's no way that those women just went in willingly into that fucking house. Amanda doesn't have any furniture.
Being paid. The escorts were being paid to show up, and I'm sure they've seen way creepier things than that than to show up with the guys in the house that doesn't have any furniture. He didn't show up to pick them up in a white unmarked van, so they were like, oh, this is not going to be that bad.
No, I'm telling you, no. And then there's a manservant. Was he waiting there with champagne at the door? Like, what was up? And he was also fucking wearing sweaters. This is the other thing where I thought that this...
Sweaters in the 80s were huge. You saw House?
Yes, okay, but this is why I think this movie was set in, like, August, September. Like, it's autumn. It's an autumn movie.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not winter, obviously. There would have been snow, right? So, because everyone's wearing fucking sweaters in here.
Yeah.
And we're not... I mean, yes... Obviously, Jerry was a vampire. He was cold, okay? Because he did. So maybe the sweater was keeping him a little warm. The ghoul's a ghoul. But William Ragsdale also was fucking wearing sweaters, okay?
Yeah,
and then...
Jerry put on like a trench coat before he went out to walking around in the night. Which, you know, he dumped that when they got to the club.
Yeah, and Peter Vincent, he was wearing the old-timey, like, fucking Sherlock Holmes fucking jacket. Yeah. so people were chilly. He had his
vampire killer outfit on.
Now, the soundtrack to this is impeccable. I love the fucking soundtrack. I hear the songs, and it just takes me directly to certain scenes in the movie, because I've seen the movie so many darn times. I mean, for me...
and you know, this is the thing I miss, is that, like, in the 80s, all the movies had, like, a song that they would release and do a video for. And the Jay Giles Band did just the song Fright Night.
Yeah.
And it's a video of just, like, it's a combination of clips from the movie, but the band is, like, taking the place of some of the people from the movie, and then, like, they do their own little thing. They do this with, you know, with Dream Warriors and with, you know, the Fat Boys did their Freddy one. Will Smith did his Freddy one. They did a lot of this with the horror movies in the 80s. And I always loved it when they came up with the crazy, like, videos for that kind of stuff. I miss the video tie-ins to everything, you know.
People say I'm crazy and I make no sense. I don't understand, the man's got influence. Ooh, yeah, that's my horrible singing. Fright night, night, night. I'm gonna tell you, I don't care. The song is obviously terrible, but it's so good.
But it's fun at the same time.
It's such a good song. But the video is it's definitely, like you said, it's at the beginnings of music videos where it's just like scenes from the movie, and then people are randomly like, oh, this is supposed to be like they're in his house, they're Jerry Jandrik's like house, right? And you're like, oh god, that's
this was 85, so MTV had only been going for about 3 or 4 years at that point. And you know, they were just starting to get past the point when most of the videos were just the people standing on a stage somewhere playing the instruments while they, you know, danced around, and that was the whole video. You know, I think Thriller had come out like a year or two before, so they were starting to get into like more elaborate things, but it still wasn't commonplace yet.
Also, the songs for those, like the songs you just mentioned before for those other movies, they like tell you like what's up in the movie. This song right off the bat, okay, this song tells you like what's going on in Fright Night, what Fright Night's about. I'm gonna read some links. He's a gigolo, a liar, a man of many faces, so don't be fooled by what you think you see. He's gonna make his move on you and me. Who's it gonna be tonight? Lock your doors and windows tight. Soon you'll all believe I'm right. We're all in for the most frightening night. Okay? Tuition tells me it's time to blow, but my sense of danger tells me no. I've got to find a weakness to put an end to this. Can't you see he's tearing us apart? I've got to drive a stake right through his heart. So, I mean, the song tells you, like, what's up. Oh, man, it's so good. Now, of course, if I had to watch a scene 100 times, like, if I was... what's his face's character from Clockwork Orange, and they had my fucking eyes peeled open.
Malcolm McDowell.
I was Malcolm McDowell with being conditioned, okay, with my eyes. The scene I would be watching over and over again is the dance scene, which is the best fucking scene, okay? I have not seen, I'm sure there's a behind the scenes. I'm so intrigued to know, like, how the hell, this is before AI, CGI, all that bullshit, okay? I need to know, how did they do, whenever there's scenes with a mirror, okay? that takes some fucking, like, you gotta be a genius for that, because you're filming something. And how do you not get, you know how many movies we've seen where we see the gaffer, the mic into the scene, where we see people's shadows. Remember that one movie where they thought, oh, in Poltergeist, it's a ghost, but it's really a camera person? Like, there's so many movies that has happened. And
the most famous being Twin Peaks, where they ended up casting the guy that was like the art director to be the villain, because you see his face like reflected in the, like,
oh yes,
it's reflected in something, and everybody was like, oh my god, what does that mean? It was like, it means we fucked up and didn't catch that before we put it on the air. Then they just cast that guy as the villain and said, fuck it, you're the evil guy now, Bob.
And man, was he a crazy fucking evil guy. Like, he was perfect for the part.
I love that so much that was just a happy accident.
So back to Fright Night. So the scene where him and her are dancing and they're twirling around and they're looking in the mirror, like they're dancing in front of a mirror. That's just fantastic. And it's so damn sexy. And I don't think that Chris Sarandon is attractive. There's nothing. I love his stature. You know, the sweaters are cool. But when I look at him, I don't think, oh yeah, he's hot. That's not my type. But I do like a guy that can dance, and I do love vampires. So, I mean, boom, you got two, things right there.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
I'm all about it. And that dance is very suggestive. When she's on literally her knees at one point in front of his crotch. I mean, come on.
And at some point, her hair goes from normal to being like permed, and
yes,
like she like just pops out. Like, he was so sexy, he changed her hairstyle.
Now, I want to say, and before anyone gives a shit, okay, if they do in the comments about, oh, but she was a teenage, whatever. The woman in real life was probably like in her 30s. Let's just throw that out there. And
I think she was like 27.
Fine. She's 27. But not only that, I mean, there's Vampire Diaries. Everyone's always hot over Ian Somerhalder, and he was way older than Nina Dobrev, and hello, they actually dated. And so look, don't give me any, and he's a fucking vampire.
And it was the 80s. No one cared about that kind of thing back then.
Okay, well, no, they should have cared. I'm not saying it's justifiable. I'm just saying that watching it again, and I watch it at least once a year, but watching it like, oh, okay, I was like, oh no, she's a virgin and she just gave it up to this guy, but it's not her boyfriend, and whatever, but it seemed consensual, because even though, yeah, it's a vampire movie. We're just gonna keep it that. We're not gonna get too much into it, because I was overthinking it when I was watching the film, of thinking like, oh man, she was so apprehensive to go through it with her boyfriend, who had been her boyfriend for a while now, and then this hot vampire, which the world is calling him hot vampire, not me, is here, and now she's just gonna like give it up to him, like, just what. And then after the movie, they get back together, and I'm like, Willem Rangsdale has no problem that she just gave it up to what's his face. Did they actually have sex?
Well, they don't really say. It could have been he just turned her and was gonna wait till after she was turned before they had sex. Who knows?
I guess. I don't know. He took off her top and stared at her tits for a little while, so I don't know. It seemed a little...
I mean, he's a 400-year-old vampire. He has needs. He's been in that neighborhood for 2 days, and he killed 2 women that came to have sex with him. So, like, what... he's obviously got issues.
I also want to know this backstory. Even though it was Chris Sarandon's idea, that's the most, that part of the movie is actually, it gives it a little more depth, and it gives his character, it's a little, gives him more personality or more depth to his character, because, he's just this, it's just so romantic, like, oh, I was once in love, and in medieval times, so this woman, and she died of the black lung, whatever the fuck lung. She died of.
She a coal miner?
She was a coal miner. The Black Death is what I meant to say. I don't know. I know medieval times and the Black Death or the Black Lung has nothing to do with it, but you get my gist. It's old time.
She died of old-timey disease.
Old-timey.
Old-time disease.
Reason, cause of death, old-timey disease.
Well, it's better than movie cancer, where you get movie cancer and you stay looking perfectly healthy until you die.
Oh,
they all stay look perfect and beautiful. They don't lose weight. They never lose their hair. They just look amazing until one day they get a little dark circle under their eyes. Maybe they get a chapped lip and then they just die, leave a beautiful corpse.
Look, I never seen Philadelphia, so I can't say if that happens to Tom Hanks. But in that movie with Julia Roberts, where she takes care of the freaking guy and he's dying of cancer, he does look really bad in that movie, though. So yes, in 80% of the movies, that is the cancer.
Well, it's mostly the women that die of the movie cancer that makes them look good.
Oh, and I referenced the 2 movies where a man dies, actually.
Yeah. So that's the thing. They can make the man look terrible, it's fine. They just don't want the woman to look unattractive before she dies. Because if they make her look unattractive, the guy in the movie that's with her will be like, oh no, I'm out.
And then the cosplay that I wish I could do is obviously Amy's last scene when she's fully turned and she has like fucking 100 teeth in her mouth.
Yeah, those teeth are coming out at crazy angles.
It's fucking great with the freaking white dress. It's the best. I hope before I die, I see someone like do this cosplay like 100% amazingly, because I don't even know how you would even like the prosthetic, like the teeth. I can't even imagine. Now, we did see a panel last year.
Yeah.
Of the remaining living actors from Fright Night.
It was pretty much everyone but Chris Sarandon who couldn't make it to it, but it was
and
all the characters.
Roddy McDowell.
Yeah, obviously. Dead. Well, yeah, you said surviving. I was saying the living people. And even the woman that played Charlie's mom was there.
Yes.
And everybody was there talking about it. They all had great stories. They all seemed like they get along pretty well still.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll try and post some clips from that this week on the pages, so you can see that. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
And we've both been able to meet Chris Sarandon in the past.
Yes.
And he was very nice. I told him that when I saw the remake, the thing that got the most applause was him coming out of the car for his cameo. And he was like, oh, stop. I'm like, no, it did. And he's like, oh, okay. He protested a little bit, then was like, no, tell me more about how cool I was in the movie.
I cannot. That was the best part of the movie, the only good part. Look, I love David Tennant, okay? And I understand what his role was in the movie.
I don't hate the idea of him updating it to say, well, there's no horror host anymore. We're going to set it in modern times. Let's make him like a host of like... It would have made more sense if he was like the host of like a ghost hunter show or something, like a monster hunter show.
Yeah, but they gave him like that, what is it, David Blaine or one of those?
Chris Angel.
They
made him like Chris Angel. His whole stick was like that. So I kind of get that, like, okay, they had to change it around a little bit.
Yeah, but Chris Angel or David Blaine have nothing to do with the paranormal.
Yeah, they kind of put it like he was a magician like that like worked that kind of stuff into his act.
Mm.
So it would have made more sense if he'd have been like I said, he did like a monster hunter show. He did like a vampire show that was like the Sasquatch Hunter, where he investigated vampire legends around the country.
That would have made sense.
Which I think that's what they do in the Fright Night Part 2. They have the character, the remake of Fright Night Part 2. They have that character be a ghost hunter in that, I believe. So that may have been their idea for the first one. I feel like the Fright Night Part 2 that they did...
Is what they couldn't do in Fright Night Part 1?
Is what they didn't... Is the script they rejected for Part 1, and they just threw it on there again and said, there you go.
Colin Firth or whatever... Farrell, whatever his name is.
Colin Firth is the guy from Pride and Prejudice.
Yes. Well, he's always on my mind, so that's...
You should know that.
I do know that, but I wish it was Colin Firth, because that would have been hotter.
That would have been pretty fun. Colin Farrell would have been a good guy to play his assistant. If they'd have put him as the ghoul, would have been fine with it.
Yeah, but then who are you going to get to be... It shouldn't have been...
Anyone that you knew at the time.
Yeah, no, I just hated the whole fucking movie. Let's not talk about it. Let's move on. So then... I don't like it at all.
Although Anton Yelchin was a good choice for Charlie Brewster.
He was, bless his soul. Yes, he was a good choice because he has this.
Even the kid that I can't think of his name, the one that was McLovin.
Yeah, McLovin.
He was
fine.
He was a good choice to be Evil Ed. The casting in it was fine.
I just don't care about the script. I didn't like the girl. I didn't like the girl playing the Amy-esque character. I don't care for her. McLovin's fine. Anton Yelchin is fine. It's not I just really hated the script, and I hated the whole like, oh, I'm gonna burn the house down, and I didn't care for it. I didn't care for it. And then I can't. It was a sequel or remake. It was a remake. Yeah, that's fucking terrible. Why? And then it wasn't even good. I'm not a fan of modern remakes or revisionings or whatever the fuck you're trying to fucking justify. I don't care for it because they're never good. It's very small percent, and I said modern, okay? Yeah. Obviously for obvious reasons, because there are a lot of remakes that we both love that are amazing to me.
Came out of the 80s and that.
Yeah, that surpass the originals or are just as good. No, I can't. That's like, oh yeah, let's remake Back to the Future. No, you can't remake Back to the Future. It's not gonna be good. It's gonna be fucking terrible. I don't care.
They'd have to go back to 1995 now.
Yes, they would have to go back to 1995, which, no, I can't. There's only one Michael J. Fox. I can't. And
he has to go back and tell Billy Corgan, hey, Billy Corgan, you know that new sound you're looking for? Here it is.
Wow.
And he's played The World is a Vampire on stage. Come on, that would be terrible but fun.
No. Look, it didn't work out. And I know people love that Thing movie that came out with Mary Elizabeth Winstead or whatever. Whatever. I'm indifferent because that technically is a prequel,
but it's just a prequel that repeats everything that happened in the original.
Yeah, it's like no, it's not good.
The only thing that I liked about that movie really was there was a lot of good people in the cast. The actors in that Thing prequel did a good job. The set design was amazing because they replicated everything from the original when they went to the Norwegian station and saw everything.
Yeah.
It was cool to see that replicated and to see a little bit of how everything happened. Oh, this is why the axe is stuck in the door. That's why this guy cut his wrist at the radio station. They did a good job of explaining that stuff. They just took it too far and then left it open-ended like the other one, like what happened to her. She could have I guess they thought maybe if it made enough money, they might make another sequel where she rolls into the camp with Childs and McCready, because at the end of that, she's in the little snowcat thing driving around, so she could have made it back to the camp with McCready and Childs technically if they'd ever wanted to do anything like that, but they never did, thankfully. But no, that one, the great thing about that movie is just the set design and the actors are all good, but the rest of it's just the same old thing repeated. There's nothing new.
Yeah. Now, can you imagine this movie with Vincent Price being Roddy McDowall's character?
I could see it because Vincent Price would have played this part kind of the same way. He would have been, obviously he was a little older at the time, but I could see him pulling it off. I could have seen, a lot of these classic actors that did this. I think he would have needed, I think Christopher Lee would have been too big and too imposing.
Yeah.
It would have had to have been someone like Peter Cushing or Vincent Price to do it. But I think Roddy McDowall was perfect because he was at just about the right age. He was 57 when he did this. So he was at the right age to be old enough that you would believe he would kind of retire down and do this kind of thing, but would still be looking to continue acting or doing something else,
Yeah.
Not so old that he could be well, obviously he's going to do this. He's not going to take parts in huge movies anymore, and where he's the vampire hunter. But yeah, I could have seen
Vincent Price doing... I don't know how that would have changed the film, because there's something about... I love Vincent Price, don't get me wrong. But what you're saying, he is so... His presence is so grandiose. And not that Roddy McDowall's isn't, because both of them were fantastic actors in their own right. But there's something about Roddy McDowall that's...
He's a little more humble.
Yes, it's humble and just tender-hearted.
Yeah.
And not that Vincent Price is cold, but he's very, I want to say uppity, but he's very like, oh, like it's not someone that you're going to have a heart-to-heart with. I can have a heart-to-heart, I feel like, with Roddy McDowall, but I wouldn't be able to have one with Vincent Price. I may be wrong about that, but that's how I get.
Well, and all the characters that Roddy McDowall played, like when he was in The Haunting of Hell House, he played kind of the working class psychic guy that had, that'd been there before and had issues. When he was in Planet of the Apes and he was playing Cornelius or Caesar, any of those like that he played in Planet of the Apes, he always played the scientist that was trying to make the world better but was afraid and a little put down by the authorities and that. So you always had a little more down to earth feeling with him than you did with Vincent Price.
It took Tom Holland like 3 weeks to write the script, which is like, wow. And he said he was just laughing, like kicking and screaming the whole time.
I'm sure.
If you haven't checked this movie out, you definitely should.
We covered the sequel to it a few years ago, the Fright Night Part 2 that they did in 1988. It's pretty good as well. I like it a lot. It's different than this one, but it's still fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
There's a lot of different vampire characters in it that are, it's Jerry Dandridge's sister in that one comes in to avenge his death. I enjoyed that one a lot, even though not all the cast comes back. There was also a Fright Night comic book series that they did for a while in the late 80s, early 90s that ran for, I think, about 20-something issues that was pretty popular. And it just literally remade they told the first 2 issues were the first movie, and then it just continued on with Charlie and Peter and all of them investigating different monsters, werewolves, ghosts, and different things. Kind of a Scooby-Doo almost, vibe to it, except all the monsters were real.
Yeah.
And I've heard tell that they were trying to do a part 3, and that unfortunately, the producer on it that was going to be the main producer was the father of that Lyle and Eric Menendez.
Ew.
And when that happened, that derailed everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if they ever did a remake of this again and tried to do a better one, because I think this would be, some of these movies that they remade in the 80s, they remade them with a bigger budget version of it and it improved the effects. I think this one would be better done as a smaller, like a Blumhouse remake, where you throw like $5 million at it and go make it, because you could make this all in a couple of sets,
Yeah.
This could be in a couple of houses in the club. And I think now, if you're going to get anybody to play the Roddy McDowall part, you get Jeffrey Combs. I think he would be the guy now to play Peter Vincent.
Yeah. Or you just don't remake it at all. You come up with a new original idea, which Hollywood won't buy anyways, which is why we don't have original ideas for the most part.
I'm just saying, if
and
they did.
We just leave the classic being a classic, because you're not going to be able to strike gold twice. That's my opinion on that.
So this is obviously a 4-knife movie.
4 knives for
4
you.
steaks.
4 steaks. It is, well, I always say I never do 4 knives, but I can't go out here and say, oh, this is one of my favorite movies and not give it 4 knives. Yeah, I'm giving this 4 knives. This is a 4-knifer for me. Like, this is for the 80s. 4 knives. 4 knives. Yeah, because you can't compare to like the 90s or 2000s. Not that there's anything really good in the 90s, but 2000s. I know I'm always like down in the 90s because there's just a large part of the 90s where there just wasn't a lot of good horror movies. They were very, very few and far between. It was the later 90s, where it started to get picked up again, obviously after Scream. But before then, you had Freddy's Revenge. Come on.
No, that was Freddy's Dead.
Whatever. Freddy's Dead, Freddy's Revenge. He was revenging. He was mad. It was terrible. Where they killed the last child of Elm Street on the fucking airplane at the beginning, and then he's playing a video game later on. I don't know. Or maybe I'm getting all the mixed up.
You had it right.
That's what I remember. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
Well, yes, definitely check it out. Fright Night, 1985. It is a classic. And happy anniversary! 40 years old. That's wild. Wild to me that it's been that long.
So let us know what your favorite part of Fright Night is in the comments. And
stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.